What's the stupidest thing you got in trouble for? I was eating lunch on a park bench when a police officer approached me. Apparently, feeding birds was prohibited, and my sandwich crumbs qualified as bird feeding. The officer was taking his job way too seriously. He pulled out a notepad and started writing me up for wildlife interference, while ignoring the guy whose unleashed dog was destroying a flower bed nearby. Sir, I was eating my lunch, not feeding birds, I explained. The birds were eating your crumbs. That's feeding. He tapped his badge. 3 years on the Parks Division. I know feeding when I see it. I pointed to the dog disaster. The officer barely glanced over. I'll get to that after I finish with you. Meanwhile, the dog owner was on his phone, laughing loudly about some business deal, completely ignoring his destructive pet. He even made eye contact with me and rolled his eyes at the officer. The cop continued his lecture about the ecological impact of breadcrumbs while writing my ticket. His uniform was spotless, his boots gleaming in the sun. The man clearly ironed his socks. That'll be a $250 fine. Consider this a lesson in civic responsibility. He was so focused on my heinous crime that he didn't notice the unleashed dog barreling toward us, freshly covered in mud from a nearby puddle. Before either of us could react, the dog jumped up, muddy paws first, right onto the officer's pristine uniform. Then it snatched his notepad and pranced away, leaving brown paw prints all over his chest. The officer's face turned crimson. His left eye twitched. He immediately forgot about me and stormed toward the dog owner, who was still on his phone. Sir, your dog is unleashed in a leashed area. That's destruction of government property. The dog owner tried to wave him off with a dismissive hand gesture. Wrong move. The officer pulled out handcuffs with surprising enthusiasm. Maybe you need a lesson in civic responsibility. I gathered my illegal lunch and walked away as the business guy got the full 3 years on the Parks Division treatment. Sometimes justice comes with extra mayo.